Hey, and welcome to a very special bonus episode of Comics Should Smell Good, dedicated to all things Dark Knight's metal. There's the main series, there's whole storylines and crossovers, there's a whole bunch of one-shots, there's a lot of cool stuff. So we're going to give you a quick preview of everything coming up, how it affects the whole DC universe. But just to get you started, we do have the first two issues here. If you've just joined us, Dark Knight's Metal. First of all, it marks the reunion of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, the guys who did the New 52 Batman. And this time, it's not just Gotham and Batman. The entire DC multiverse is their playground.
Whole thing.
And there's everything. They're all over the place. And we've seen hints at how it all works. Everything from Plastic Man to Mr. Terrific, to even Dream of the Endless, which was kind of a big shocker for me. That's huge that they're even bringing in Vertigo characters into this.
Yeah.
But also a character that all goes back to Hawkman and the Lost Journals of Carter Hall.
Yeah.
And it goes into all this cool mythology of all these tribes and this evil bat tribe and Hawks. And, there's a lot of cool stuff with the Court of Owls, so Snyder and Capullo take it back, all the way back to the beginning. But they even go way back even further to, if you remember, Grant Morrison's Final Crisis and R.I.P., we learned a lot about that. But here's the thing, you can just jump in and dive in and enjoy it for what it is, or if you're a hardcore DC fan, there's lots of little things that build up and make it awesome. So the first two issues are in, and as we've learned, from Batman, everyone's after Batman because of what he's learned, his weird secret. There's the Black Hawks, challenges of the unknown are coming back.
Yes.
It's just crazy. But there's this whole, we always known there was a multiverse.
Yeah.
And then they destroyed it and they brought it back. But if you flip it over, there's a dark multiverse. And it's weird cults and somehow an army of evil Batman from across the Dark Multiverse have now invaded the DC universe. Yeah. And that kind of segues into, of course, the DC heroes are going to unite together and kind of...
They got to stop, yeah. But it's cool, this is really it almost feels like a very... artist-centric series a little bit, where Greg Capullo gets to let loose and all sorts of cool stuff. I mean, you got big dinosaurs, you got Mechazord things. It starts
Batman
out with
on a jet ski.
Batman on a jet ski. It's very 90s, but this is like just pure awesome trash. Like, it's really fun, and like he's saying, there's a lot of hints that DC has been dropping over the past, I guess, 5-6 years or so that have been leading up to this. And it's really cool that Snyder has taken all those pieces and woven this huge, huge story that, while Batman-centric, really does focus on the return of a lot of great DC properties that we haven't seen in a long time, like Challenge the Unknown. And I feel like the JSA cannot be far behind because I guess, in our current DC universe, they just have not existed. We don't know. Like, they didn't know who Kendra Saunders was, Hawkgirl. And it's cool, and so these kind of worlds are colliding, and it's a really great way for DC to not only push forward with their rebirth stuff, but really recognize a lot of the past and bring up some of the, missing threads that might be kind of lingering.
It is a love letter. It's a twisted love letter.
It is.
It is a dark and twisted love letter, but it's an awesome love letter
it's really
to
cool.
DC fans everywhere. I mean, and there's even I was like, is that the Legion of Doom, swamp headquarters
Straight
thing?
Up. Yeah.
There's so many little things, but once again, it all is in a big tapestry. And of course, the metal there's always been the Nth metal, which is connected to Hawkman, but there's all kinds of metal. And if you remember reading Batman Endgame, there's, like I said, so much cool stuff that weaves this tapestry, but if you just want to dive into the main books, you dive into the main books. Yeah. But of course, when you have evil Batman, you're going to have the Resistance, and there's a whole bunch of tie-in books. But once again, the tie-in books kind of it actually makes sense. There's going to be the Gotham Resistance, which is going to be
It's a 4-parter. There's the kind of 2 mini-series tie-ins that they're doing. And the Gotham Resistance focuses on Teen Titans, the Suicide Squad, Green Arrow, and Nightwing, who are all uniting together to fight this kind of super gothed out evil Riddler in his weird labyrinth, because Gotham has been totally disrupted by the dark metal and the Dark Knights and stuff like that. So they have to bind together and fight one of these Nightmare Batman, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's fun and it's definitely a little cheesy, but it should be it should be fun. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Is it's actually genuinely entertaining.
And there's another cool crossover because these are just like, these are literally like, it's called Bats Out of Hell, because these literally are Dark Knight Rising. And so you're going to have Justice League, Flash, there's one more.
There's two more. Yeah, Justice League, Flash, Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns.
Yep.
And basically all these weird evil Batman that have weird, when you look at them, they're all like, what the heck's going on here? How are, they're twisted versions of Batman merged with these other heroes that you like. In fact, this week we have the Red Death, which kind of tells you, how did Batman steal the Speed Force from Barry Allen, and what does it mean? Cool. Which is really weird and twisted. And it's cool because it's the ongoing teams. A lot of times with these crossovers, you get like, oh, here's somebody you've never heard of who's been doing this all of a sudden, but this kind of weaves into. So what's cool about it is it's part of the bigger tapestry that is metal, but also it's the continuing team.
It feels very organic.
It feels organic.
It's
not
a
forced.
real, DC has been doing especially a very good job of making organic tie-ins that, like Will said, you can read just the main book, but unlike, say, like a Marvel crossover, you get a bit more of what's going on rather than just kind of like the big hits. Especially with the Gotham Resistance and the Bats Out of Hell, you're kind of focusing on bigger groups of characters who might be touched on in the main book, but are playing a bigger role in having to deal with these evil Batmen, who of course have one-shots of their own, like this Batman Red Death. They're all becoming nicely foil stamped, which is really cool. Bringing back the 90s thing again. Metal covers have to be all metal and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's the main teams will be doing it. So we've got this one, the Red Death. There's the Drowned, which I think is the Aquaman kind of one.
I wonder if that could be Aquaman.
The
Devastator,
which I think is like the Superman one because it kind of looks like Doomsday a little bit.
There's a big one shot called The Man Who Laughed.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing about one of the Batmen has a weird thing of Robins.
Yeah.
And it's who is the Robin? It's pretty twisted.
It's kind of creepy, actually.
It's very creepy.
Yeah. There's the Dawnbreaker, which I think is the Green Lantern one. The Merciless, which is kind of the Wonder Woman one.
The Murder Machine.
And then my personal favorite, the Murder Machine. The cover of this one,
gotta be Cyborg.
Which I think it's Cyborg, which you're probably seeing right now, has a giant friggin' tank that has Batman's face on it. I mean, how more cheesy can you get, But it should be cool, and as Will was saying, it's by a lot of the creative teams who are already doing these books, and that's a big plus, because they've got a handle on these characters, and so you kind of get to learn the secret history of these evil Batmen, or the Dark Knights of the multiverse, as they call them, in addition to whatever's going to happen in the main book here.
And it looks like it's all leading up to a showdown, because if you've read the books, there's all these hints of the different tribes, and there's always been, Scott Snyder played with this thing with the Court of Owls of birds versus bats. And of course, this is all leading back to the Ultimate Champion, because there's all these journals of Carter Hall. Hawkman's coming back. He's coming back, and can you imagine if we can see a giant fight between Batman and Hawkman unleashed like they've never been before, no holding back. I've always thought Hawkman, is kind of like, could be their Wolverine in a way.
I mean, he's just such a phenomenal character who's been around since the Golden Age.
Yeah.
He's one of
revamped.
the... Yeah.
He's Stanagarian. Yeah. He needs a mix of everything.
Yeah.
So.
And this has been kind of a nice attempt at taking the different origins over the years, because they've been really convoluted, complicated, and just straight out contradicting each other. And this is a really great way to get back to that, explorer, archaeologist type of thing, but still being able to do kind of a more sci-fi thing where he's, really very primal and going and following the code of the birds, which is really exploration and into the darkness, and he basically goes into the dark multiverse and leaves this journal for Batman, and that's what kind of starts him on this whole crusade.
And it'll be a big one-shot, a number one called Hawkman Found.
Yep.
Jim Lee's doing the art.
No,
no, he's doing the cover.
He's doing the cover. It's going to be Jeff Lemire, Brian Hitch, and the most awesome Kevin Nolan.
That's pretty awesome right there.
Yeah.
That's a really cool creative team.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire always does good, weird stuff, and so I think he's really suited to do kind of this cool multiversal tale. But yeah, Dark Knights Metal is going to be a 6-issue mini that is going to be going until the beginning of February. So we're going to try to keep these things in as long as we can. They are going really fast. The tie-ins will be coming out throughout the next couple of months and stuff. But really, if you're reading any DC stuff, you should at least check out the main book. And if you're not reading any DC stuff, this is a great chance to just jump in and really experience, the fun in comic books.
Yeah.
And especially the team of Capullo and Snyder, who have been one of the most popular comic book teams in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, definitely. And once again, as you're reading it, there's all these little quirks. So if you see something, email us.
Yeah,
email us and say,
put up a message,
who the heck
question,
is that person?
yeah.
What are they doing? And then how can I find more of that character? And we can probably find some cool books to let you know the history and how it all weaves. Once again, in some ways, what's cool about this is to choose your own adventure. You can go as deep and dark and dive into it if you're a crazy super nerd like me and Casey, or if you just want to enjoy the ride for what it is. But it's a great big puzzle piece. Yeah.
And I'll be putting up a checklist, and they did release a really cool kind of Easter egg thing where they tell you what titles they've been influenced by.
Yeah.
So I'll be putting both of those up probably in the comments of this video or so, but keep a lookout for that. And yeah, I guess keep it metal, guys, and thanks for watching.